Okay. Hunter Beatty interview, scene one.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Stand by. I'll let you- we have to readjust. Okay, guys, here we go. Anytime.
Alrighty, would you mind telling us your name and what you do?
My name is Hunter Beatty, and I'm the owner of Innswell, which is a modern, eco-friendly funeral home in Hillsborough, North Carolina.
And how does your work here at Ennswell differ from that of a traditional burial service?
So we are a full funeral home. We provide cremation, aquamation, and green burial, but because we're an eco-friendly funeral home, we don't embalm, we don't sell non-biodegradable caskets, and everything we do here is more ecologically responsible than what traditional funeral homes do.
And how would you describe the process of aquamation, and how is that more eco-friendly than cremation?
So quite simply, aquamation is an environmentally friendly alternative to fire cremation. Rather than burning the body in a giant oven at 1800 to 2000 degrees, we circulate an alkaline solution around the body. And the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins that make up the soft tissue of our body are broken down into sugars, salts, amino acids, and peptides. But by not burning the body, there's no carbon emission or greenhouse gas emissions.
Can you talk to me a bit more about the alkaline solution and what's inside of that?
So the alkaline solution is 95% water and 5% potassium hydroxide, and it performs this process called alkaline hydrolysis, which converts the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins into sugar, salts, amino acids, and peptides.
Okay, excuse me 1 second. Rachel, can you move over a little bit? And Hunter, if you could talk a little bit more slowly, because
Okay.
You've got a lot of information packed into those sentences.
Sure.
So it'll be a lot for somebody to absorb. So
Okay.
slow down just a bit. Would you ask the question again?
Yeah, so if you don't mind re-explaining the alkaline hydrolysis.
Do you want me to start over and explain kind of aquamation from the very beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. Aquamation is quite simply an environmentally friendly alternative to fire cremation. Fire cremation uses 1800 to 2000 degree temperatures in a giant oven to combust the soft tissue of the body. The soft tissue enters the chimney in the form of soot and various carcinogenic and toxic gases. Aquamation uses an alkaline solution, 95% water and 5% potassium hydroxide, to also remove the soft tissue, converting the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins into sugars, salts, amino acids, and peptides. By not burning the body, there's no greenhouse gas emission and no toxic or carcinogenic gases are produced in the process.
Awesome. And what are some reasons you think people should consider a green burial?
So the method of disposition that people choose is very personal. It's based on cultural beliefs, religious beliefs. People tend to choose green burial because the majority of our ancestors practiced green burial. They practiced green or natural burial. The majority of people on the planet practice green or natural burial. They don't necessarily refer to it as that. Embalming became a practice during the Civil War to get fallen Union soldiers who were dying in the South back up north to their families. The railroads refused to transport their bodies that were decomposing. So green burial is a very common practice throughout the world. It's more ecologically responsible, it's less expensive, and there's a reemergence of green burial practices, especially in communities that are seeking to make environmentally conscious choices at end of life.
What kind of inspired you to get involved in this industry?
2.5 years ago, I was sitting next to a cemetery in Carrboro, North Carolina, and I read that former Archbishop of Cape Town, Desmond Tutu, who's also a Nobel Prize winner, anti-apartheid activist, and climate activist, chose to be aquamated instead of cremated after he died. And while sitting next to the cemetery and reading these articles, it was the first time I ever realized that all the flowers in the cemetery are plastic. It's the first time I ever contemplated this practice of preserving dead bodies with chemicals like formaldehyde, placing them in non-biodegradable caskets, placing those caskets into concrete burial vaults that cemeteries require to keep the ground from collapsing. And it struck me as a very unsustainable practice, especially considering that this space is cut off from any productive use by the community, and the majority of people living around these municipal cemeteries aren't even related to the people who are buried there. So these articles about Desmond Tutu's decision made the argument that the modern funeral industry is predatory, extractive, expensive, and bad for the environment. And I was inspired to open up an eco-friendly modern funeral home.
Wow. What has that process been like for you?
What?
Starting to move on.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so how has the process been as you're kind of entering this industry? What sort of lessons have you learned in the past 2.5 years or so?
The process of entering this industry without any background in it has been very strange. 2022 was a very difficult year. We had to buy a building, renovate it, somehow become comfortable around dead bodies. When I saw the first dead body during training in Las Vegas to learn how to use the Aquamation machine, I passed out. And the first case that we had here was actually an unclaimed body, and the individual's body had broken down significantly. So that was a very rip the Band-Aid off experience. But I quickly became used to it. My attention turns to helping the family, to offering them whatever they need, meeting them wherever they are. Inswell tries to offer what we call concierge funeral care, where we are customizing our service for each family we work with.
And what do you find most rewarding about your work here?
What I find most rewarding is helping people in the community, and finally, for the first time in my life, having a role in the community, something that I do and I get to offer.
Can you talk a little bit more about your experience dealing with the grieving families of loved ones?
So, my father died 16 years ago, very unexpectedly, and I bottled up that grief and drank heavily and did not think about him for probably 15 years. So working with the families here at Inswell and seeing how they grieve, how they process death, how they continue to live on and honor the memory of their loved one has helped me process the loss of my father.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, I guess just has your perspective of death and dying evolved throughout your time working in this industry?
So I'll be honest, it is very strange to run a business that is a death business. To have bills to pay, staff to pay, health insurance, property taxes, and be dependent on customers who need to die in order for me to help them. That has probably been the most challenging aspect of this. But in terms of my perspective on death and dying, when I am working with the individuals who have passed, what I realize is that whatever you believe in, the soul or consciousness, at least from my vantage point, it's gone. I have a body to dispose of and then a family to help in any way that I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. And can you talk to me a little bit about the urns that I'm seeing here, just where they come from and what kind of impact they have?
Well, early on when we first decided to open Inswell, I realized I needed urns, so I started looking at the websites of other funeral homes. And I saw one in particular. It was an American eagle soaring across the flag, made in China. And what most funeral homes carry are mass-produced urns made in China and India. They're very cheaply made. So we have phenomenal artists in our area, and we decided to curate an urn gallery. I think the first urn gallery. So we have about 300 urns, all made by North Carolina artists, various materials, wood, metal, glass, ceramic, even felt, that are biodegradable and can be used in conservation cemeteries and Jewish cemeteries.
Cool. Is there anything else you think would be important for our viewers to know? Anything else you want to share about green burials, Inswell, anything?
I think that when embalming became a common practice during and after the Civil War, suddenly there was a shift from families and communities caring for their dead. And we required funeral directors, people with a knowledge of the arterial network of the body, people with access to what was used at the time was arsenic. And suddenly people stopped caring for their own dead, and the modern funeral industry was born. So I think that there is a better way we can do this and return to some of the practices of our ancestors. We can be present when people are nearing end of life, at end of life, and we can even care for their bodies. We can shroud their bodies prior to green burial, and that does not have to be a role performed by the funeral director in our society.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was very
Yeah, and I would ask him if there's anything you want to say that I didn't ask.
okay. Is there anything else you
I
wanna
don't think
share
so.
that I didn't-
That was the last thing.
Okay, cool.
That's it, okay.
All right,
Yeah.
cut. Close. Slate.
Aquamation show and tell.
Anytime, Rich.
Alrighty, Hunter, go ahead and show me about this machine and how it works.
So this is the high temperature aquamation machine made by BioResponse Solutions in Indiana. It heats to 300 degrees under pressure, so the water does not boil. What you'll see here is the basket where the body is placed. The body is placed into the lower portion of the basket, and then we place the top portion on. We use a hydraulic lift table to raise the basket up, and then we slide the basket in the machine. We'll close the door, and then we rotate the machine up at a 45-degree angle to keep the potassium hydroxide off of the gasket and to use less water.
And how long does this process usually take?
It takes about 7 hours from start to finish. The machine has to heat up and reach temperature, and then the alkaline solution circulates around the body, gradually breaking down the soft tissue. Then the machine will cool down, and after the process, we remove the basket, and what we find are bone remains along with any implants in the body. So we'll find plastic implants, which fortunately with aquamation are not combusted and they don't enter the atmosphere. We can dispose of the plastic implants and recycle the metal implants.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Cut.
So when you start, Bob, we'll be quiet.
I'm sorry.
You started? Okay. This is gonna be B-roll or should?
Slate.
Roll 3, take 1, animal bones show and tell.
Stand by. Anytime.
Okay, Hunter, what is this machine for?
This is the PET aquamation machine made by BioResponse Solutions. It operates at a lower temperature and not under pressure as the human machine.
And what are you about to do right now?
I'm about to raise the lid and remove bone remains from a chicken that I performed an aquamation on yesterday.
Whenever you're ready.
And tell Rachel what we're seeing there.
So you're seeing the skeletal structure of the chicken. You know, some of the smaller bones have broken down. At least in the case with humans, you'll see that the smaller bones, the metatarsals, the metacarpals, the ribs will break down fully, but you'll see full femurs, cranium, scapula, pelvis with the humans. But same principle applies with the animals as well.
And show Rachel the long bones that you're talking about. If you can tilt that up just a little bit more, yeah.
So here we go. If you would, explain that again. I'm gonna shoot a close-up and then go ahead and do what were you asking for?
Just to either point or yeah, just to point to a long bone, and just hold your finger there as you point to
And
it.
Hunter, if you do that explanation again, just like you did, similar to what you just did. All right? Anytime.
So aquamation and cremation do not reduce the body to ash. Both processes result in rigid fragments of bone. cranium, femur, scapula, etc. This is the aquamation machine for pets, and it operates at a lower temperature than the human machine, but you'll see these fully formed pieces of bone. I don't know the skeletal structure of a chicken very well, but this is probably the drumstick bone right here.
Do you want to have them do it again and get a super tight shot, Bob, or no? Or
Yeah,
you-
I was on a tight shot. You know, the first thing you said,
Mm-hmm.
that was great. I was shooting, I'd like to see you talk about just the first part of that before you talk about the bones themselves.
And say it to Rachel, not to Bob.
So sorry, what would you just,
Whatever you said at the very beginning before you started talking about the bones.
what did I say?
I don't know.
You were talking about, this was from a chicken, and you were talking about the smaller bones, the finger bones, the
Okay.
ribs are mostly in small fragments, but some of the long bones would remain intact. That's what you
Do you want me to mention that with both cremation and aquamation, you
Yeah,
get,
that's what you were talking about. Yeah. So Rachel, cue Hunter to tell you that again.
Alrighty, talk to me about these bones, please.
these are the bone remains from a chicken that I aquamated yesterday. You'll notice these
Stand
fully,
by. You looked at me.
You looked at him, look at
Oh,
Rachel.
okay.
Rachel, I'm sorry.
Alrighty, what are you showing us?
these are the remains from a chicken that we aquamated yesterday. And you'll notice these fully formed bones here. This is probably a bone from the drumstick. Now, cremation and aquamation do not result in ashes. Many people have the assumption that cremation reduces the body to ash. Cremation results in rigid bone fragments. The smaller bones with both cremation and aquamation are typically broken down. Those would be the metatarsals, the metacarpals, the ribs. Those would break down into a fine sand-like consistency or powder. We have to mechanically break down the larger pieces of cranium, pelvis, femur, etc. We do that with aquamation and we do it with cremation. It's a legal requirement.
And could you do that one more time? Instead of saying cranium, would you say skull? Instead of saying metatarsal, say
Dumb this
hand
down.
Hand or finger. Yeah, exactly. In plain English.
And tilt it a little bit more. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So use the simple terms. And Rachel, cue Hunter again.
Alrighty, talk to me about these bones.
These are the bone remains of a chicken that we aquamated yesterday, and you'll notice that some of them are very much intact, like this drumstick bone right here. Cremation and aquamation do not break down the bone remains of the body. That is a separate process. Many people have the assumption that cremation results in ash. It does not. It results in rigid pieces of the skull, of our leg bones, of our finger bones, and our ribs. Take two, take four.
Just for that section, just
Yeah.
what you just started to say, I'm gonna change the shot, it's gonna work out perfect.
Yeah. So you're talking about what
Okay?
people assume.
You want me to start with people assume?
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, are there any ashes associated with aquamation?
There's a common, take another one. Sorry, the coffee's wearing off. There's a common assumption that cremation or aquamation results in ash. That's not correct. The cremation process results in rigid pieces of bone fragment, and you'll see this rigid piece right here from the drumstick. So there are rigid pieces of skull, of femur, of the long bones in the body, the more rigid bones. The smaller ones do break down, and you can see that here in this tray of bone remains. Is that okay? Felt weak.
No, that was good, that was
That was
good.
good.
All right, cut. Slate.
Animal bone show and tell. Roll 3, take 2.
Stand up. Anytime.
What is this machine for?
This is the pet aquamation machine, and yesterday I started the aquamation process on a chicken, and now I will remove the bone remains.
Perfect.
So we can cut to,
Okay, I'm gonna roll it, stand by,
cut to it.
What do I do?
open it up, and
Just
just pull
roll
it
that?
out. No, you can be up there.
You can be up there.
I'm shooting the door basically.
Okay.
We're just talking about continuity, so we go from one wide shot to a tight shot, and your hands are,
Okay.
All right, and
Switch.
action.
I think you wrote.
By and action. Okay. Slate.
Roll 4, take 1, shrouding.
Thank you. Stand by.
Do I start?
We're gonna do Hollywood. We're gonna call it action. Do you wanna walk into it?
Yes.
Yeah, come on over here then. Perfect. And back up a little bit more if you can. There you go. Action. Cut. That was great. Please stand by, please. Action. Cut. That was perfect. Action.
Funeral home line.
Cut.
There he is.
Pose and anytime. Perfect. Action. Okay, give me one more. You can just, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna move up here. Right in this area right here. That's all right, you can, they can be some on there already.
Okay.
Action. Just keep doing it. What you're doing is perfect. Perfect. Cut. And action. Take it away. Slate.
Veronica Penn Beatty, roll 5, take 1.
Thank you.
So,
Stand by. I have to readjust. After that special slate. Hearing things.
so tell me your name if you would and how you want to be identified.
Sure. My name's Veronica Penn Beatty, and when you say identified, do you mean pronouns?
Sure.
Okay, Veronica, but she, her.
Great. So when you wash the body, do you often have families involved, and what does that mean for them when they are?
Yeah, we do definitely have situations where families choose to participate, and I always encourage them to, especially if their loved one looks peaceful. I think that there is a profound experience that happens when you're able to interact with your loved one final time. Preparing them may mean bathing. We often will take warm water with essential oils and just cleanse their skin. It's a very loving gesture. And then we'll lay flower petals on them and shroud them. We use cotton or silk here, and having the family involved lets them have time here separate from just the graveside service or from just the cremation or aquamation.
And what impact do you think it has on the family to do that?
I think in general, this Green Burial movement, this Good Death movement, really is about re-involving the community and the family in this transition process. Someone we loved is no longer here, and it is a transition. It is a change in our daily lives. Having the opportunity to be here and spend that time with their loved one, preparing them while they're doing something, is a great way for them to feel like they're making an impact and sending their loved one off in a very compassionate way.
And, and so what's it like for you when you're doing this process? What does that feel like for you? What is it?
I think for everything here, whether it's in the aquamation room or it's preparing a body for green burial, I feel so honored that I'm able to see this individual in their bodily form for the last time. It is a very intimate interaction, but it is a beautiful way for me to treat them with respect and dignity in those final moments here.
Great, thank you so much.
Of course.
That's really great.
That's great. Slate,
Bone grinder, roll 6, take 1.
who are we talking to? Who are we talking to?
Oh.
God, did you write his name?
Wait a minute, one more. One more.
And Slate?
Bone grinder with Hunter Beatty, roll 6, take 1.
Good job, thank you. Stand by. Anytime.
Okay, Hunter, what is this machine and what does it do?
This is the machine we use to process the bone remains into a fine dust or powder, which is a legal requirement for funeral homes, crematories, and aquamation facilities.
Can you show us what the dust looks like?
No, I can't.
Okay. I didn't know if we were doing that or not.
Let's do it again. You can did you gesture towards it? I can't remember.
My head.
Wait, do it with your hand. All right, and did you want to talk about the procedure like this, the hydration and then the...
Sure.
Yeah. All right, still rolling, anytime.
Okay, can you talk about the full process starting with the hydrator?
So after the aquamation process, the bone remains are damp. So we can let them air dry or we can use this dehydrator to rapidly dry them. After they're dry, we'll place them in this machine which processes them into a fine dust or powder. People often refer to it as ash or cremains, but it is just the ground up skeletal structure of the human body.
Anything with the pets?
We also have a separate cremulator or bone grinder for pets. All of our equipment for humans and pets are completely separate.
Good,
All right.
cut. And action. Right, give me one more. And you can pull it out quickly or wherever, how you did it before.
Do you want me to do a full door open and pull out?
Yeah,
Yeah, and maybe a little bit quicker.
yeah, just pull it up quick.
No
Light go off?
Oh, yeah.
Put your battery
Yeah,
away.
batteries.
Battery.
And action. Cool. Done. action. Right, give me one more. And you can pull it out quickly or wherever, how you did it before.
Do you want me to do a full door open and pull out?
Yeah,
Yeah, and maybe a little bit quicker.
yeah, just pull it out quick.
No
You
idea.
like that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, batteries. And action. Cool. Done. Right. Take your hand away and put it in. Take it away. Stem. Hold. Side. That sound.
Oh,
We
there he
need
is.
more fabric, and we need to know how far you want us to go on this.
All right. I'll say, let's just go ahead and stop around here. Because we'll figure, I don't really know what Jeff wants to do at the end.
Okay.
So we'll just stop here.
Okay.
So we need a little
Cloth
more.
end.
Well, honestly, why don't we just stop at the cloth
Okay.
for now? I have more cloth over there, but I think that's because we
So
have.
just lay the pipe back in and just leave it uncovered?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Is the next,
Keep coming until you run out of fabric.
Well, I'm a site steward of the Eno River Association. So I'm a site steward.
we need shovels to do that.
It's like where the Eno River starts, the two branches.
So we need to get more
slate, please.
Ina gravesite.
Thank you. I'm rolling. I'm rolling.
Waldron grave, August 2024.
Thank you. I got it. Thank you. Okay. All right, slate.
2022 grave,
Okay. Slate.
Heidi interview.
Stand by. Whatever that truck is coming around.
I have to say, it's about as busy as I've ever heard the traffic on the road. Crazy.
I think we're just gonna have to live with it. It's not gonna stop.
We should live
Yeah,
anywhere else,
it's
if
not
she's still
gonna
here.
Oh, yeah. A little bit, it's in the background.
You ready for
And
me?
Heidi's gonna speak up
Mm-hmm.
You ready for me?
anytime.
Hi,
Hi.
thanks for doing this today.
Sure.
Tell me your name and how you'd like to be identified.
I'm Heidi Hannibal, and I'm the co-director of Blue Stem Conservation Cemetery.
Great. So what inspired you to create Blue Stem?
It's a beautiful story. My partner Jeff Maston and I worked in conservation in the Triangle region for most of our careers, and we very much care about beautiful landscapes such as what you see here at Blue Stem. And about 8 years ago, I lost my mother to a terminal illness, and shortly after that, his father was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And it was in that journey where, as friends, we counted on one another, received comfort from one another in navigating the trials and tribulations of caregiving, and recognized that it was very difficult for people to talk about death, especially the medical system. Doctors and physicians and hospice workers would be very cautious about how they talked about death. And we were struggling in that individually with our parents because we knew that their end was coming, and we didn't really know what they were interested in as far as their body disposition apart from being cremated. And both of us as conservationists caring about the land knew that that wasn't something that we wanted for ourselves. We really wanted to create something different. And we deal with death every day in the conservation world. And so we wondered, how could we marry conservation with end of life? And we were familiar with the practice of conservation burial. It's not very common, but there are 12 other conservation cemeteries in the country. And we decided that we wanted to try and make the 13th. And so that's Blue Stem.
Great.
Yeah, just wait a second. Okay.
What is the difference between conservation burial and green burial and burial with embalmed bodies and non-biodegradable materials?
So there are a couple of different categories for burial according to the Green Burial Council. And we subscribe to that institution's education.
Let's start again. You can't move at all.
Okay.
The whole floor is moving.
Sorry.
So, sorry.
I'm sorry.
You could start again?
So how does conservation burial differ from green burials and burials with embalmed bodies? And
Actually, hang on a second. Sorry, Michelle. Do you want like a short answer? Okay. Just give me a minute to think about that.
Gotta wait for the car. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Was the first answer too long?
If you have a shorter answer, I'd
Yeah,
love to hear
okay.
it.
We could do the first answer again. I mean, the first question again. I can make it a shorter story. And I will make this one short too.
Okay.
Okay, ready.
Stand by. Breathe, Heidi, breathe. You're doing great. This is great.
So what inspired you to create Blue Stem?
Our inspiration comes from the fact that we were already practicing conservationists in the area. We had done different projects around the Triangle and thought that the ultimate project, our swan song in terms of conservation, would be a conservation cemetery. And that's Blue Stem.
And how is conservation burial different from green burial and burials with embalmed bodies and non-biodegradable materials?
So the most important thing having to do with green burial or natural burial, first of all, there's nothing really new about it. It's essentially reclaiming what we did in the past. And it's allowing families to be more present in the actual farewell. So we,
Yeah. You'll need to repeat that again.
Just hang on.
Go back about 15 seconds.
okay. And you don't have to keep repeating the question if I can just remember what it is.
Okay.
No,
this is
it's
the-
fine that she does, it helps. us
Okay.
hear it.
This is the difference between green and embalming and all that. Yeah.
Okay, you
Okay.
can ask it again.
So what is the difference between conservation burial and green burial and burials with embalmed bodies and non-biodegradable materials?
Right. One of the most important things for us related to green burial is that there is no embalming. There are only biodegradable materials used in the burial itself. There are no vaults, no metals, no steels. We are trying to return our bodies simply to the earth using shrouds or simple pine caskets. Some folks use cardboard boxes, but we're trying to make as light an impact on the earth as possible. And what we're doing is there's really nothing new about it. It's how we buried our dead in the past. We subscribe to the Green Burial Council's principles of conservation burial, where we are doing an added level of protection of this land through the practice of green burial.
What is the impact of conservation burial on community and on conservation?
That's a really good question. We're the 13th conservation cemetery in the country. We're a small group of folks very passionate about the environment, very eager to share this principle with others. And these projects take a great deal of community effort to see them emerge. We spent about 8 years working on this project, planning for it, studying the work of our colleagues in other parts of the country. And we are delighted by the fact that this community in the Triangle has really embraced what we're doing. It feels to us that people have been waiting for a simpler, more natural form of body disposition. Orange County has been advocating for it for many years. There are some powerful local green burial advocates who've done great pioneering work for us, and Bluestem happened to emerge at the right time, at the right place. Redo that one?
You got that
Yeah,
answer.
why don't we just do it again?
Redo it?
You got the answer. Yeah, you don't need to go back.
Okay.
No? Not going back? Okay.
Gotcha. The mic hears everything. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
But this is an incentive to give an answer in
That's
like
short.
20 seconds.
Okay.
No more than 20, 22
Okay.
seconds max.
How is conservation burial transformational for people who are involved with it, families and volunteers?
I love answering that question. I especially love answering that question through the experience of families. We find that when families are active participants, either walking to the gravesite, planning the burial service, and physically lowering the body into the grave, we experience a transformation in their physicality.
What does that transformation look like?
We're trying to find a word that describes that. It's hard to say exactly what that is. What we experience is initially a little hesitation. A lot of folks will say to me, "Oh, I don't think that we need to do that. We'll ask your volunteers to take care of that piece." And almost to the one, when they are here and experiencing the comfort of this place, the sounds of the birds, the natural breeze, people feel inclined to step forward. We do that process very quietly, very respectfully, and very slowly. And I think that together as a family, people find comfort in doing that final act of placing their loved one in the grave.
So now the motto on your website is Bluestem, where nature is enough. I wonder if you would repeat that motto to me so we can hear it and tell me what that means to you.
Stand by 1 second. So you're doing great. Okay.
The motto of where nature is enough. Yeah. We feel our planet, this earth, this land, the water, the air has given so much to us as human beings. We're really determined on this property to give back to it. And we don't see Blue Stem as a botanical garden or as a space for a lot of different art. We have minimal signage, we have minimal seating, because we feel that what's here is already enough. And we want to give back to what has been so abundantly given to us.
And when you talk about giving back, can you talk briefly about sort of the flora and fauna and how you're repopulating the land? What does that look like, and what does that mean for conservation?
Sure. The fields that were here on this property, so this property is 87 acres, and there were 10 fields that have been active as tobacco fields and corn fields, soybean producing for this community. And we've taken them out of production in that way, and we planted over 1,000 pounds worth of wildflower seeds and grasses that are native to North Carolina. And those are nourishing the soils and serving as a very resilient landscape, so that we're not having to over-fertilize or over-tend what's existing here. We manage these fields through fire, so on a rotation every several years there will be portions of the grasslands that are burned. But that's the plan, to keep a minimal impact, human impact on this land, and to use green burials part of our conservation strategy.
And have you been able to quantify the difference in what is here now versus what was here a few years ago? Can you speak about that briefly?
We haven't really been able to do a lot of that data analysis. We're working on that right now. We have a number of master naturalists that have gravitated to this project, excited about that kind of data collection, and we're in the middle of gathering that information now. What we have noticed is that milkweed, for example, that was in only one portion of this property when we first took it over, is now scattered around the property. So the birds are acting as wonderful environmental ecologists and helping us. And we look forward to collecting more of that information in time.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think is important for our viewers to know?
Come out to visit. I think people see the word cemetery in our name and they think, oh, that's not for me. I don't have any reason to be thinking about planning for my end of life. But this is a nature preserve. It's open every day for people. We come into the parking lot sometimes early in the mornings and there are 10 cars here because a birder has posted the fact that a particular type of bird is here. That's really exciting to us. We want people to love this space as much as we do and to take care of it with us, which is what a community conservation project is all about.
Anything else?
No, I think well, the answer about involving the family in the placing of the body or the remains in the grave, a lot of the answer referred to that or this, but unless you heard the question, you wouldn't necessarily know what you were talking about. So I think if you re-ask that question in a way, and in the answer, be sure to talk about, however you put it, placing the body in the ground.
I wasn't
concrete about that.
Yeah, that's fine. Happy to talk more about that. I actually think that that is one of the most critical pieces to convey about this prospect. I didn't know if that you were wanting to, so I'm going back to when Michelle initially asked me about this and really focused on the science. And there's plenty to talk about in terms of the grassland and all the conservation work that we're doing here. But the real work that is happening here is human work.
That's what we want. So if you would re-ask the question, Michelle, and yeah, very
Go that
particular
direction.
answer.
So can you talk to me about the sort of the community center, the transformational impact that it has for families to be involved in a conservation burial of their loved one. Can you just talk about what that means to the family that's left behind and the family member that has departed?
Yeah, I think that a conservation cemetery has this incredible opportunity to share with others this element of physical engagement in the work. So we invite all families to craft the burial service of their choice.
Hold a second.
Yeah. Sorry, let's start over again because I got turned upside down. We're talking about.
You look right side up to me.
Yeah, we're talking about the real value of this project to the community. That's what it is. Okay.
And we're not going to hear Michelle's question. That's
We're not going to hear Michelle's question. Let me just go directly to the value of this
Yeah, well, there you
project.
Start right now.
Okay.
Stand by. Okay.
So I love the fact that this is a nature preserve. People can come out here any day, dawn to dusk. And we want them to come out on their own to experience this natural world and to notice, by the way, that there's a conservation cemetery. And if they're interested in that element of what we're doing, that is the most transformational work that's happening here. When families are able to craft a burial service of their own choosing without anyone dictating what needs to be in that service, and then they come here and they're not sure that they want to be participants in the act. I got to get the answers shorter.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That would be good. Because
Sorry.
of the trucks? No, because.
Yeah.
And you were saying they're not sure, so if you just start with that.
Yeah, well, let's start over. Okay?
I thought I was hearing another one.
No.
Okay. So the real value of Blue Stem to the community is that this is a nature preserve, open every day for people. They can come whenever they want, dawn to dusk. And what we hope that they'll also experience is that it's also a conservation cemetery. So what that means is people can be actively participant in laying their loved one to rest. And we invite them into crafting a burial service that's of their own choosing. We invite them into literally walking their loved one to the gravesite and then lowering their loved one into the grave. At that moment, we notice there is a
You can start there. Or make it shorter. Either way. Oh, wait a second.
Start coming. Start coming.
Really?
You're doing a great job.
Yeah, you're
It's
you're
hard
giving
to
us-
convey it
Yeah,
in
but
a.
you're giving us great material, so don't.
I
stress
hope
out,
you
because you're
can
doing-
piece it all
yeah, but
together
you're
in a
doing
way
great
that's
job,
meaningful.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, here we go, Bob.
Goes clear.
Good?
Not for audio,
You tell me when. We invite people to lower their loved ones into the grave.
but start again. Look right at Michelle.
Sorry, hang on. I got to get my train of thought.
Okay.
We're talking about lowering into the grave and what happens in that experience for people. I want to go back just a little bit to the crafting of the burial service. And then in the midst of crafting,
I mean, I have a suggestion, Michelle. If you ask her, what's the most valuable part
yeah, there you go.
of the service? Pleasure.
So what's the most valuable part of the service?
Just wait. A lot of footage. Because I was waiting.
There's actually two really valuable things I could speak to. So I'll say them both and you can figure out which one you want to use.
Okay?
Okay.
Anytime.
So what's the most valuable part of the service, of the experience?
I think there are two beautiful things that are happening in these services. One is related directly to the family, where being here in the comfort of this natural space, people feel more courageous and more generous in wanting to be present for their loved one and saying farewell. So sometimes families will say to me, we don't need to lower into the grave, but almost invariably they'll step forward when we slow that process down and invite them forward. Then there's this beautiful thing that happens as they're closing the grave and shoveling the earth back onto the grave. We see a change in their physical persona. Sometimes stories are told, there's some laughter, sometimes songs are sung.
Wait, hold on.
You could start from there. Because we're never going to get it all over.
Yeah.
Stand up. Anytime.
We see people physically release to this beautiful act that they've just made for their loved one. And as they walk away from here, there's a lightness to their step that was very different from when they first arrived here. The second beautiful thing that happens for me is that we have a crew of volunteers. We put a call out that we need help with a burial crew, and our volunteers will answer that email within 2 hours. We'll have 6 to 8 people, complete strangers, who want to show up for families and be present and witness to this sacred act.
Does she need to address the volunteers that are working today at all? Or are you guys going to do that in the voice?
I think we'll do that in voice.
Okay. For me,
Yes, sir.
please, why you got involved in this, a short story on that, just a short of how you got involved. I changed my shot and everything to make.
So that was very crappy in the first time that we answered that. So I can do that better. And that's what you're asking for now.
So look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, wait, just give me a minute, Bob.
And tell Michelle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she will. I'll watch her.
Hang on, let me just.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Wait, here comes.
You've got good ears.
She's at the back. And I think I will ask you just to tell me briefly what the volunteers were doing today that we shot.
Okay, and because you shot them doing the drainage stuff? Yeah.
But really briefly.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me try to make this one brief too. Why am I doing this? Well, how did I get involved in this? Yeah. Okay, ready.
Anytime.
Okay. The reason I got involved in this project is because I love the Piedmont. I love the woods. I love these beautiful views that we have here. And that was the work that I'd been doing most of my career. And my business partner, Jeff Maston, and I were helping our parents with their final chapters in life and recognized how lonely that work was. And also that people have a very difficult time talking about death. And we knew that there was an ending for both of our parents. We were the ones that were accompanying them in that ending. And we thought there has to be a better way. There has to be a softer way for people to find places where they can have conversations around that. And that was the beginning of Bluestem. It was how did we marry what we knew how to do, which was conservation, with an end-of-life process. Better.
And then can you tell me briefly, the volunteers that we shot today, what were they doing and how did they come to?
Yeah. So we have this amazing volunteer crew. People have just gravitated to Bluestem. I sometimes say like moths to a flame, because they find such relief here and a place of refuge, a respite from the noise of our general lives. And they get their hands in the dirt. And today they were not only putting their hands in the dirt, but they were helping with a drainage situation that we've had up at the front of the property, where we sit on top of 2 different watersheds, and we were trying to bring the water that lands right here around the cabin over to funnel it over to the creeks and take it out of here so that this isn't an entirely soggy area, but the water is better distributed.
And remind me, so tell us where this is located. I know there's
Yeah.
where this land is.
Right. We are in Orange County at the top of the Neuse watershed headwaters and the Roanoke watershed headwaters. So that was a really geeky little thing that Jeff and I liked when we first spotted this property. We would be able to impact 2 separate watersheds, which is important work for conservationists. And it's one of the reasons why we also have water quality buffers on all of the water features on the property.
Anything else, anyone?
No, lots of great sound bites.
Oh, was there anything we
There
wanted?
was something.
What was,
Was you saying something?
did you have something?
I didn't want to.
Tell Michelle, what do you want a visitor to get from coming here? You probably addressed
Oh, that's
it
a good one
throughout,
too.
but just
Yeah.
What do you want people to get when they come?
That's a great question. Ready? Oh, wait.
Tell me.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Should I wait?
No.
There we go. Okay. We love for people to come and visit here on their own, and I think some of the things that people can get here are an escape from the noise of our lives. There's a lot less on this property because we have so much else in our lives occupying our time, distracting us. And when you walk out here, you feel the quiet and this big blue sky on a beautiful day like today. You hear the birds, you feel the wind. And what we want people to find out here is a sense of calm and peacefulness and rest. All right.
Out of the park.
I hope that you have enough.
I can remove that cone there if you want, Bob.
Okay. See my shadow. Slate?
Pine boxes.
tour, I'll spread. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, just tell me a little bit about, once again, about why you chose to bury Daisy here and how that all happened for you, what it means to you.
Okay. When I first came out here to see the place and consider it, I figured it would take me a while to make a decision, and then the decision became imminent because my cat, Daisy, who I'd had for 19 years, passed away. And since I already knew that I could be buried with my cat, or whatever pet, I decided she was telling me something. And so I committed to burying her out here. She's right over there. And I'll be next to her at some point. And I chose this particular spot because of the beautiful trees that are around it. And it's different every time of the year. And I'm kind of nestled into the woods, which I also really like.
I know you also have some friends who are going to be in this area potentially, and so I wanted to ask what having an afterlife community means to you, and if you could tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, this whole place is based on a feeling for community. The surrounding community, the community of friends that I hope will come here too. And my friend, Betty, is going to be right across the way. Her dog is already there. That just happened recently. And there is something very grounding and real about having the comfort of knowing that friends made the same decision that I did. And even though I don't know where our spirits will be, I know where our bodies will be. And it's a fulfillment of a community experience.
I love that. I'm curious how being here will impact your family. How do you want your loved ones to experience your death and what comes after?
Well, I have no immediate family in the area. So when I made this choice, it really was based on me and what I wanted for myself. I don't expect people to come and visit my grave. Most of my family is elsewhere. But I felt that if I was in a place where people did come to just pass time, and that I could help them do that by contributing to the funding of this endeavor, that was more important to me than whether I would have anybody visiting me personally, family members or whatever. I know that the burial ceremonies here are beautiful and peaceful and full of the natural world, and that's what I want, not to be in some chapel or, I'd like it right here. And I think if there is anybody that wants to be here, they will understand why I've chosen this as soon as they get here.
Be aware when you do that, you'll hit the mic. You can do that, just don't hit the mic.
Okay.
We're good. It's all good.
No, you're doing amazing. I'm loving your answers.
Yeah, everything's good.
Okay.
One second here. Would it help if they lined up in a line? Would it act as any kind of windscreen?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Will you, if I make a slip up like I just did with whatever I
We
said?
can't edit. It's going on as no. Yes, we'll edit.
We've got edits.
Kidding. We'll edit.
No worries. We're gonna make you look good.
Okay. All right, we're good.
So you were talking about the beautiful burial ceremonies here. I'm curious how you envision your burial ceremony here and how that would be different than if you were at a more traditional cemetery.
I envision my burial here with my body perhaps in a woven basket, or just a very plain pine box, rolled out in one of the wagons that they have here. And there are sanctuary areas here where people can gather and sit and take in the beauty and say a few words. And that's all I want. I don't want anything really formal. And I think it would leave people with a sweet memory. And it leaves me with, I know that that's going to happen. I trust these people to make that happen for me.
I love that. On a bit of a more general note, I'm curious, why does green burial matter to you? And why do you think it should matter to other people?
Green burial is something that matters to me because I'm very conscious of what's going on in the world right now, on our earth, and how precious every piece of ground is. Every attempt to preserve and conserve our land is really important to me. Green burial is clean and pure. No embalming, no creating a vault for a body to be in. The simplest way of burying people, which was done for centuries. And I think that for me, that is the ultimate experience of giving back in every way, helping financially with conservation and giving my body back to the earth.
I love that. Is there anything else that you want people to know about your history and how it connects to this place, or about green burial, conservational burial in general?
The way that I got interested in aspects of end-of-life choices was helping my parents, both of whom lived till their 90s, to experience good deaths. They had good lives, and they had good deaths. And they died within 4 months of each other. And they were both in their 90s. And they made appropriate choices. And ever since I retired from my work in publishing, I have been working with other people to help them make the choices that they need to feel confident, to feel at peace, working with advanced directives, working with the Department on Aging in Orange County. And so it's been very much a part of my life, and it was, if I talk the talk, I need to walk the walk. And I walked it right over here.
In a perfect world, what do you think the discourse around death and dying would look like?
In a perfect world, I think that people would not be so fearful about what comes next, because the truth is we don't know. We can just do the best we can while we're here and make plans that will help us in that last third of our lives. And even before then, I mean, it's never too early to start planning. But I think that we're working our way into a death positive attitude, which we haven't had up until, at least not to my knowledge, in the last, say, 25, 30 years. And I think COVID really pushed the discussion about how to deal with the end of your life. So in a perfect world, it would be a form of conversation, a topic of conversation that was freeing, not panic-inducing.
Back up just a little bit. Just back up. Back up.
Back up, back up, back up.
There you go.
Yeah.
This one is moving. Oh, excuse me. You've got one question, short.
So your last one.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You saved the scary one for the end?
No, actually, it happens to be the easiest one.
The easiest, absolutely.
Oh.
In a second, when Bob is ready.
Action. Perfect.
Okay.
And action.
On the same side, right?
Come on back. Yeah, same side. Don't talk. I'm using your audio.
Okay, yeah, I just realized I wasn't sure if I was walking on the same side.
You're walking on the same side. You know?
Okay, all right.
All right, here we go. In action.
Did you say cut?
Walk away.
Oof.
Action.
You're determined to make me fall.
Sorry, mind if I grab this leaf off your arm?
Okay.
Action.
I chose this spot for my,
Start again. Just stay right there.
okay.
Okay, go.
I chose this spot for my my final resting place in the middle of the winter. I came out here and I knew that I wanted to be sheltered under trees, but I love the view of the grasslands and the way they're preserving the grasslands and having the land go back to the original native plantings. So I was torn, but I saw this spot right here, and they pointed out, Heidi and Jeff pointed out, that there were red buds right above this particular spot. But I didn't see them until I'd made the commitment and come back, and they were in bloom in the spring. And it was just glorious. So.
And I know we've talked about how your cat is Daisy, is buried on your plot. How did you come to that decision? Can you tell me a little bit about Daisy and that choice and what it means to you?
When I originally came out here in the winter, I did not intend to choose something immediately. I just wanted to see what it was like and what they were doing. And one of the attractions for me was that Heidi and Jeff said, your pets can be buried with you. And I know there's a limit on how many pets can be buried, but my cat passed away, and I thought, this is what I was meant to do. I was meant to make this final commitment, bury Daisy, who is right over there, and eventually come here myself to join her.
Lots of wind right now, but extra special things. The other things with you? Oh, I did it. I super. Oh, there is.
Wait, what's wrong?
Wind
the
is
wind
not
was
coming
good.
through the windscreen for some reason.
Do we want to try?
Yeah, if you do
try
that one
one
again,
more
please.
time?
Do that again?
Yeah,
Let's
just,
just wait till this breeze slows down just a little. It just
I'll let
picked
you
up.
know when. The wind's
Ah!
drowning out.
Okay, wait, I guess I should just stand here.
Even better. I like it.
Perfect.
Supermodel.
Beautiful.
I'm swaying with the wind.
I know. I feel like I'm about
I'll
to
follow
get
you, but
knocked over.
it's disconcerting. People like it. Why should
You know, I could take, there's a rock there. If you want to rest one leg on a rock and bend your knee.
That may be worse, but
It's probably heavy.
Slate.
On an interview. All right, Anna. So tell us a little bit about why you've chosen to be buried at a conservation cemetery.
I chose to be buried at Blue Stem Conservation Cemetery because I wanted to do something that would be helpful for sustainability, not just think about my final resting place, but think about what I could help these people create through conservation. And I was always interested in green burial, and this was a place to have both, conserve the land and be buried the way I choose to be buried.
Yeah. So in that sense, what does green burial versus traditional burial mean to you?
My history with burial goes back to my parents and their family circle cemetery in New York, which is a very traditional cemetery. It's very filled, compact, with gravestones everywhere. and it's right outside of New York City. And that's not the way I saw the future of cemeteries. I don't think that is sustainable. And when I came out here and saw this as an option, I thought, this is great. And I don't have to be buried in a traditional coffin. I don't have to have this big gravestone marking my grave. It's going back to nature the way I think I was intended to go.
And why this spot specifically? One moment, sorry, there's a little bit of background noise.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready, Bob.
And when I ask you about this spot, feel free to just, turn around for a second and gesture toward it, and then
Okay.
come back to Kai.
Whatever feels most
You could do a little less of that if you could. You did. You settled down. You moved, and then you came back. This is great.
Oh,
Kind of stayed up
I
there.
do that a lot,
I know.
actually.
It's so hard not
So
to.
you're going down on the Titanic, and that's the problem. Okay, where's she going?
There I go.
You're doing
Oh,
Okay.
good. You're doing great.
You're doing amazing.
I can't have no control over that.
What?
Come on, Ina.
Come on.
Nature.
Yeah, but I can't hear what you say.
Anything like that that feels relevant that you'd like us to use to identify you in the piece.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce
Oh,
yourself.
okay. My name is Ina Stern. I have retired from life in publishing, and I used to work at Algonquin Books of Chapel Hill. And in my retirement, my post-paycheck career, I work primarily with the aging population and try to help them think about enriching their lives now and later.
So before we stop, anything that any of you wanted to ask Ina at this point? Okay, cut. Thank you.
Rolling. Garden Cosmos. Rolling. Garden Cosmos. Rolling. 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 Rolling.
Scared of
Do you want a break?
Thank you.
Trade with you.
Shop from over
Like the
there.
burial thing.
I'll be where this whole Raven thing goes across the road there. That grassy area.
Well, why does he do it?
Just to test it and just to like get value information, research. Yeah, but it's
For science.
it's ridiculous when you do it.
So I
like
take
there's
it he
something else
doesn't do
behind
king
that.
cobras and baboon
Right.
gophers.
No.
Want to recreate it themselves. And,
Yeah,
you
like
know.
I remember all the disclaimers of like, do not try this at home kind of thing.
yeah, like
Man,
where am I
once
gonna
everybody
find this
tried
at
it,
home?
Yeah. Where am I gonna
A
find
tank
just
full of spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, at home.
All right, next time I'm thinking about
Yeah,
my
yeah.
weekend plan.
Respect for that. And they're slim and elegant looking and everything, but they're powerhouses. And yeah, they're like 4 feet tall.
So what it
Their wingspan,
What, 6 feet? 5 or 6
it must
feet?
be,
Yeah.
because they'll be in the stream, and if we're walking by, it's like 3 flags. Person
Yeah.
kind of.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
That's
but you know,
theory
to
that
protect,
makes the most
protect
sense.
the owls.
That's the
It
author
is not the
that's in
owl.
there. Okay.
Yeah,
that was a
that's
bunch
right.
of- that
He
was
was
a
like
thought.
he was an author. He was like a novelist or something
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So
Garden Cosmos. Rolling. Garden Cosmos. Rolling. 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 Okay, well.
Scared of
Do you want a break?
Thank you.
Trade with you.
Shot from over
Like the
there.
burial thing.
Across the road there, that grassy area.
Well, why does he do it?
Just to test it and just to like get value information, research. Yeah, but it's
For science.
it's ridiculous when you do it.
So
I
I,
feel like
take
there's
it he
something else
doesn't do
behind
king
that.
cobras and the balloon
Right.
bumpers.
No.
Want to recreate it themselves. And,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
I remember all the disclaimers of like, do not try this at home kind of thing.
Yeah, like
and
where
of
am I
course
gonna
everybody
find this
thinks
at
I-
home?
Yeah, where am I gonna
A
find
tank
just
full of spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, at home.
All right, next time I'm thinking about
Yeah,
my
yeah.
weekend plan.
big respect for that. And they're slim and elegant looking and everything, but they're powerhouses. And yeah, they're like 4 feet tall.
So
And
what
when
it
their wingspan, yeah,
What, 6 feet? 5 or 6
they must
feet?
be,
Yeah.
because they'll be in the stream, and if we're walking by, it's like 3 flags. Person
Yeah.
kind of.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
That's
but you know,
theory
to
that
protect,
makes the most
protect
sense.
the owls.
That's the
It was
author
not the
that's in
owl.
jail. Okay.
Yeah,
that was a
that's
bunch
right.
of-
He
that's
was like
fun.
he was an author. He was like a novelist or something
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So
You're a silly goose. You're a silly goose. I can't.
Oh, but we can drive.